Welcome back to the Dynamic Duo podcast. Today, we're going to talk about active listening. And active listening is more than just what you probably heard before, repeating back what the other person said. But what does it mean to really actively listen to another person, and why is it even important? If you're thinking that, then keep on listening and let's dive into the topic of active listening.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dynamic Duo podcast. Anja, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Armando.
Are you ready to roll?
I am. I think I am. Yes.
I'm ready to roll. I'm very excited about our new series. This will be our second? No, this will be our second Leadership Superpower. And our first one was very well accepted. For those of you visiting us for the first time, I'm going to leave the link here on my left, so you can catch up. You are early enough to catch up with our new series, Leadership Superpowers. And today we're going to continue with active listening. So that's a very important leadership superpower. And have you ever had that feeling when you are talking to someone, whether there is in a team, in the family reunion, among friends, you're talking about whatever, and you don't feel taken seriously?
Yeah, I have. I actually have.
Actually, it just happened yesterday.
With you?
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I know. Me too. I know what that's why I'm asking, because it's that worse, isn't it?
It's hard to realize that that you're talking and people don't really care what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, really, really bad. I mean, the worst is when you notice that in their eyes, right? You almost can see through. It's like, I don't think they are listening to me. Oops, I'm sorry. I moved the camera. That wasn't an earthquake. That was just me with my foot. But yeah, no, that's very important. Imagine that. I mean, I'm gonna leave the microphone to you in a few seconds. But how important that is. There is a challenge that many leaders faces in their leadership position. I mean, they talk with coworkers and subordinates and colleagues and maybe clients, and a lot of people really need to get better at active listening. I
Yeah.
mean, that's important. Well, I'm gonna leave it up to you, Anja, because you're gonna tell us a little bit more. You're going to go in depth into the subject, and then we'll come back and chat a little bit about that. But for all of you watching us, send us your questions. Listen to what we're talking about, and maybe you have that experience that maybe there are things that we are not covering completely. I mean, it's just a half an hour podcast. It's hard to cover the whole subject. We can talk hours about that. But if you have questions, suggestions, and comments in general, send them our way. We'll be happy to read them and to engage with you. So yeah, Anja, let us talk a little bit about active listening.
Thank you. Yes, as you've introduced the topic very good with something we probably all have experienced. Active listening is really important, like you already said. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't really realize what active listening all involves is this. We've all heard that active listening is repeating back what the other person said. And while that is important, that's just the surface level of active listening. Let's take the example of husband and wife, and the wife tells the husband, "You never listen to me," and husband says, I do listen to you, you just told me I don't listen to you, that doesn't solve the problem, right? I mean, that's not what active
Do- d-
listening is.
doesn't it, it doesn't?
Not enough.
No.
Um, so active listening is way more than just repeating back. It's about understanding, connecting, and responding thoughtfully. Um, so, yeah, it's a skill we need in both professional and our relational or personal relationships. As you said, bosses need to listen to their teams. It's not enough if you just repeat what your team said. You have to understand what they meant. Not everybody has maybe the same words or can use the right words. So you might have to ask questions and go deeper into the understanding. Active listening is about understanding what the person says and also showing some empathy, connecting with the person. Um, a lot of times when we want to connect or when we listen to someone, we tell our own story.
Mm,
Uh, and while that is a good thing to connect, it can take away from the person that was telling you something. Let's take the example of someone at work who tells you that they're afraid of something they have to do. And you just tell them about something you did, and suddenly the conversation goes on to be about you.
mm,
That's not what active listening is about. You took the conversation about you. That's the same thing when someone tells you they broke up with someone and you just tell them, oh, we've all had that. And when I broke up with my boyfriend, it was like this and this. And suddenly the conversation is about your breakup and the person that is in pain
mm,
actually just listening to you then. That's, we see the connection feels, the understanding feels, is missing.
mhm,
The
mhm.
understanding is missing now. My English is gone.
It's there. It's there. It's back. It's back.
Yeah. So the first step, I believe, in active listening is get away from the me.
Mm,
Minimize me talk. Of course, you can share things that happened to you in the past, but don't make it about you. Maybe what you experienced can help, but make it in coaching. It's the rule is 80/20, right?
mhm,
80% the client, the coaching client, and 20% the coach that talks. So when someone tells you something that's important and you realize I need to listen right now, try to have that in mind, make it 80/20.
mhm,
Another way to think about or to help you at active listening is we all have a default listening style.
mm,
I found four different listening styles.
mhm,
So there's task oriented,
mm,
the people that are focused on efficiency and completing tasks and things. They already, when you tell them something, they already see the tasks behind it and how you can make it better. Then there's the analytical type.
mhm,
It's the person that goes into detail, examining everything and wants to understand everything deeper. Then there's relational, someone who prioritizes the emotional part or the emotional connection, who's very good at showing empathy. And then there's critical, someone who evaluates the ideas and maybe also seeks flaws. And maybe when you before you or after this episode, you can think about, or maybe you already know what your default style is. I think I know mine. It's not as difficult, but maybe think about what is your typical listening style, and think about situation it serves you and situation it doesn't serve you. Let's take an example when from a leader with a team. when a teammate comes to you and tells you a new idea, and you are at default a critical listen, your listening style is critical, and you shoot right in with, oh, but there's the flaw with this, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't.
Mhm.
The person shuts down and
Right.
probably never comes to you with another idea. And this is not good as a team leader. You want your team to bring ideas to you, to be open. You want them to have a safe space to bring ideas, and not every idea, it doesn't matter. And even if you are critical thinking and you see 1,000 flaws and you already know that it doesn't work, don't just shoot back with all of that, but maybe go into analytical style thinking and ask questions. Try to understand it better. Maybe the idea has some good parts you can use. Go deeper and try not to just wear it off. Or the same goes with, let's take the husband and wife again. When the wife tells you, I don't know, she had a problem at work, and you're the task-oriented person, and you just see what you just want to help, and you want to solve the problem for your wife. That's the
Mm.
typical thing people always talk about when it comes to relationships. The wife maybe just wants your empathy. Maybe she wants just to talk about what happened during her day. She doesn't want you to solve her problems. And that's also what style is needed. So when you are in a situation where you need to actively listen to the other person, ask yourself, what does the person need right now? Does the person is the person in pain and needs just someone to that listens? Does the person have a problem you need them to solve for them? Try to figure out, what does the other person need? Does the other person need my default, or
Mm.
does the other person maybe need something else?
Mhm.
Um, Also, I've already talked about it a little bit. When it comes to leaders, I think it's very important that you create an environment of trust.
Right.
People feel safe to talk to you. It's not good if your employees or your teammates don't feel safe to talk to you. That means you can have the best active listening skills someone can possess, but if your team doesn't trust you,
Yeah.
that it's just they won't talk to you. So that's really important. Figure out how to create an environment of trust, and also seek input. Don't just listen when your team comes to you, but actively go to your team and ask them questions. Actively go and ask them for input. Simon Sinek, I think it was Simon Sinek, said, as a leader, you need to learn to be the last one to speak
Mm.
in a meeting or wherever, because when you're the leader and your team and you tell them that's my idea and present them your idea,
Mm.
you don't give your team room for their own ideas, because
Mm.
they will just think, okay, that's how we're going to make this. So yeah, I don't have to think anything. But if you want your team to think, to be active in and bring their own ideas, you need to hold your opinion back and ask them first. Present them the problem, the thing, whatever, and ask them, how would you solve this? How would this go on? Yeah. And then at the end, present your idea. I think this is a really great way to go about it in a team meeting where, yeah, where you give everyone the opportunity to be heard, not just you present the idea and everybody
Mm.
goes like, yeah, great, because
Mhm.
they don't want to upset you.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that would be some of the things you can do to improve your active listening skills. And I think I've talked enough for now. And enough, Armando.
Keep going, Anya.
Let's change to a more active conversation.
Oh my goodness, that was very, very good. I was enjoying it really. Awesome material, Anya. But my first question for you is, what is your style? You mentioned that you already know your style. You mentioned task oriented, analytical, relational, and critical. What is yours?
Relational.
No, no, I thought it was critical. Nah, I'm just kidding. I
Yours.
knew that. I knew that. I knew that.
What would you say is yours? Did you find
Analytical.
analytical? Yeah.
I think so. And it's a mix of maybe like analytical and task oriented. In my younger years, it was really, really bad. People came to me for counseling. They wanted to share their lives with me, and they were going through something very difficult in life. But the first step, like you mentioned, that is like, hey, be empathic and take the people serious and focus on them, right? And I was doing it, but right away, okay, this is what's happening. This is what has to be done. Let us develop a strategy, and very quick to give a recipe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and and um, and that's not always, never actually, the right way. I mean, you have to just take your time
Yeah.
and give people place and room uh, for them to ask you questions
Mhm.
and welcome your input. But usually when people come to you, I mean, they want to be heard first.
Yeah.
So in my younger years, that was really bad, and I do notice today I have to be very conscious of that. When people are talking to me
Mm-hmm.
and they are saying something, and then ideas pop in my head. That I cannot help that, because of that. It's like my brain is wired that way, right? So ideas are popping up in my head and strategies and whatnot, but then I need to fight it. So like, shut up. Don't say anything, right? So yeah, I really really appreciate the breakdown you just presented, because would you say that's the first thing? And we have spoken about self-awareness, and if you want, for our viewers, I mean, if you want to watch our chat, we just, what was that, like 2 episodes ago, we talked about self-awareness right here. Would you say that's the first step in becoming a better active listener?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to realize if you are or when you're not a good listener. And also, like I said, you have to know your default style. You have to know yourself
Hmm.
a little bit to be able to listen to others. I mean, that's yeah. And also be self-aware when am I talking too much by myself?
Hmm.
That I mean, that's something I think that happens to all of us.
Hmm.
And it's not that you should never do it. I think sometimes in conversations with my friends, when we're just chatting and sharing life, it's important that I share my stories too. I mean,
Hmm.
that's about, or also with your partner or with your kids, it's important to share your sides too.
Hmm.
But there's a time and a place for everything. And so there are times when someone is in real pain or someone is struggling with something, and then your story is not the thing that might help them. It might help them. So that's why sometimes it's fine to share it.
Hmm.
But you have to be self-aware when is my story not really the same thing. But we all go really fast to ourselves. Like, it's just yeah, it's just how we are. And that's I think yeah, self-awareness is so important. You can't yeah, yeah.
How important that is, because usually people in a leadership position, usually they have more experience, they have more kilometers behind them,
Yeah.
more, they're a little bit older maybe, not necessarily, but usually. and and like you said, they have a lot of experiences, and maybe they went through some of the things that the people in front of them are going through.
Yeah.
But it's really, really hard to fight it because and it might be relevant, right?
Yeah.
Like your story might be relevant to what is happening, but
Hmm.
that's never the main thing. What would you say? How what would be a good trick maybe to help in that self-awareness area? If somebody's talking to us, um, and we are like tempted to share our story, our experience. I mean, well intention, we want to help the person, but the timing is important. What would be a good trick to help us bite our tongue and wait for the right moment to share maybe something?
I think the first step is recognizing that you did it.
Mhm,
Because, well, if this might not apply to everyone,
mhm, mhm,
but for me, when I have something like this and I realize I just had this happened to me actually, where I should have listened and I started talking way too much.
mhm,
And I realized it.
mhm,
And now the next time I see this person, I'm going to apologize and give
mhm,
them the stage. So the first step is realizing I did it
mhm,
and maybe change it. Maybe you can give the person, you can actively go to that person and tell them, I'm sorry, I took the conversation over and it was all about me, not about you.
mhm,
Please give me another chance.
mhm,
Share your sides. Um, another, maybe this won't work, or you can't go back to that person, or the conversation is too long ago,
mhm,
whatever, then just realizing it is still the first step, because then next time you might realize it a little bit earlier, and then next time you realize it a little bit earlier, and then
mhm,
suddenly you realize it in the moment and you stop and you are able to bite your tongue. So the first step to bite your tongue is to learn when you're tempted to do it, and also figure out what is triggering you.
mhm,
Maybe there's something behind why you took the conversation over, or I don't know,
mhm,
maybe there's something that triggered you in that moment, and also think about that. What was it that made me, I mean, in my case, I was just too emotional and I had to get all the emotions out.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
I have to control my own emotions, and that's a thing I have to learn. So I can work on emotional control.
right.
Can the next time I can learn to not do this.
Yeah, not to not hijack the conversation. Yeah, yeah, how important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about I mean, there's different techniques, and we're just like scratching the surface of the subject. And if our viewers want to know more about that subject and have suggestions for us, please send us your comments. We'll be happy to touch on some of those. But what about open-ended questions, Anya, as a technique, as a way of helping us to stay on track,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. I think that's especially in leadership positions. Um, Again, back to coaching. I mean, that's the whole thing about coaching, and it's important in coaching. But I think, how can I say this? In this case, coaching and leadership is very similar to each
Mm,
other. uh,
mm,
where you also to help you bite your tongue, you go into the mode of I'm the leader here, and
mm,
or I'm the coach here. I think that helps. You're in a mode and you know this is now my role in this
right.
conversation. Um, and the open-ended questions are a tool that you need to learn in coaching and in leadership to you just it's just so important. I mean, you can't have a conversation,
Right.
a, an open conversation where the other person is free to figure out their own way. In coaching, they come to you with a problem, right? So that might be the same case in leadership. They come to you with a problem, and you want to tell your story,
Mm.
how you overcame this problem, but the person is completely different. I
Right.
mean, that might be the exact opposite of character than you. And what worked for you will never work for someone else. Let's take losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are good at, they say counting calories is the way to go.
Mm.
Other people are like, just eat veggies and do a diet. Other people are like, just go running every day. And you have to figure out your own way. So the the way to figure for them to figure out their own way is open-ended questions. Ask them what worked in the past. What so the same that's now
Mm.
completely different from leadership styles or anything, but it applies to every area of life.
Yes.
When someone comes to you with a problem, when they tell you they have a presentation and they're so nervous and you just tell them, oh, just imagine everything naked. I think I never would have, I mean, that's not the thing I would go to.
Right. Right.
That would never work for me. I mean, that would just make me feel so uncomfortable and weird, and I would
Why did
definitely
I open my mouth?
I would just if someone tells you just like, oh, that's the solution. No, the solution is that this person has to figure, oh, what calms you down? What helps you feel more prepared? What
Yeah.
the
Right.
person you have to realize you're not, maybe also self-awareness. You're not the expert in someone else's life.
Mm.
They're the expert in their life.
Yeah.
You're the expert in your life and maybe in whatever area you're an
Mm.
expert in. But the other person knows themselves better than you do. And you can't tell them what will calm them down or what will help them be a better. You can give them tools, but they have to figure out what tool works for them.
Wow. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And coincidentally, we'll be talking about coaching next week, and we'll be touching on some of those topics. So thank you very much. But it's a great intro to next week's topic. Anja, we're coming. It's amazing. Our time is gone. It went really fast. I was really enjoying, and I'm sure our audience as well. But before we leave, do you have anything else you want to share with us, or maybe like a last word of encouragement, a call to action, or something?
Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. We're all, like I shared, I just did it this week, and I mean, I've been preparing this session this week also, so I should have known all of this, but we all fall sometimes. You're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect, but we can all learn and get better. And this, this episode was an encouragement. I hope it was an encouragement to figure out what's your default style. How do you listen? What do you do when you listen? And encouraged you to learn more about how to be a better listener.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Anja. And we'll be back next week with the next Leadership Superpower. Until then, we wish you all a successful and blessed day. Bye-bye.